What should we read into this trip being cut short? Is that a significant thing? Is this for appearances, or do you think that this is really a very significant attack and that more attention needs to be paid?
You're spot on. This is a significant development in this. It is serious. I mean, based on what we know and what we don't know, if I put it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm approaching a 9 right now. Now, a lot of that's based on what we still don't know. But the fact that many organizations have been impacted, departments and agencies, the U.S. military have been impacted potentially because of this compromise. You can't trust electronic communications right now on the unclassified side. So it's no surprise to me he came back stateside, possibly to go into in-person briefings.
When you say you put this on a 9, what does that mean? What's a 10? Because I mean, if you start thinking through the different gradations of what a 10 would be, that's kind of like a meltdown, right? So what does 9 mean potentially?
Well, 9 for me right now is based on what I have seen from what Microsoft has reported, FireEye, FBI through the InfraGard program, the different bulletins that have come out that have been so helpful, telling companies and government organizations the steps they need to take immediately. Essentially, the design gives the opportunity for cyber operatives to have what we refer to in the industry as God access or the God door. The reason why I don't have it as a 10 is the investigation is still ongoing. So maybe we got lucky. Maybe these cyber operatives had set up that God access or that God door, but maybe they didn't get away with infiltrating the systems in such a way that they've changed data, they've changed logistics, that they've got a permanent hold on the systems. What I do know is there are many talented men and women working behind the scenes right now to figure out that access, if it was potentially used, what's potentially compromised. So I'm at a 9, but I may de-escalate that feeling as the investigation unfolds and we hear more.
I mean, it's crazy that this has been taking place over the last 9 months and nobody figured it out until now. The idea that we still don't know exactly what happened, what kind of confidence can any government agency or any company that's been hacked at this point, what kind of confidence can they have that they're not losing secrets or losing internal documents on a regular basis, even at this moment?
You bring up a great point, and I remember when Mr. Mueller, the former FBI director, said many years ago, there's only 2 types of organizations, and it's those that have been hacked and those that don't know it yet. And so that's why right now, every organization around the globe, this is not an American problem. This was an attack on us all, leveraging these vulnerabilities, inserting this malicious software. And so basically, we have this extreme global issue that needs to be reviewed and assessed. One of the things companies and government organizations around the globe need to be doing right now is assume compromise. They need to do a proactive threat hunt. I liken it to, if you start to suddenly see fingerprints on the outside of your house, on the windows and on the doors, it could be your kids looking in, or maybe, it's holidays, maybe it's Santa peeping in. But it could also be people with nefarious intent. That's the type of thing you do in a threat hunt. You look to see whether or not digitally you're being surveilled. I would also be looking at logs to see what kind of data has been leaving the organization and looking for anomalies, which is hard to do in a pandemic when we're in this hybrid work from home situation.
Hey, Teresa, this is a situation that I think is also concerning because it wasn't the government that caught that it was being hacked. This was private companies or publicly traded companies that picked up on this and alerted the government. And it just raises the question about a cybersecurity czar, whether that's something we need at this point. It's difficult for government to compete with private industry because it can't pay the same rates that private industry can for some of these jobs. What do we need to be doing? You're somebody who's worked in the White House. What needs to happen, and how can we try and make sure that we're protecting it as best as we can from the government's perspective?
Yeah, I mean, the government has done a great job in the last several years in actually working on compensation and incentives and has recruited some pretty incredible talent to work in the government organizations. But I agree with you. I think one of the things that's missing is each vertical, each department and agency ends up being its own entity. And you do really need a White House cybersecurity coordinator who has the authority and the responsibility to look across these equities and entities that bridge the gap between the Hill, the White House, private sector, and the departments and agencies. And that role has been left unfilled since it was basically eliminated by Mr. Bolton. So I would advise the incoming administration, this is a role that needs to be filled, and possibly naming somebody sooner rather than later during transition.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.